I am of Cuban heritage. My family is from Cuba. My parents came on the Mariel boat lift in 1980. I was born here in Miami after my parents migrated from Cuba. My dad was a very successful actor in Cuba for a good amount of time. Like if you want to compare him to someone here in the States, I would say my dad was like Brad Pitt in Cuba as far as like film and TV shows. He was a very successful actor, and I feel like actors are storytellers, and I feel like we're all storytellers, not just actors, and some are better than others as far as like being able to be descriptive or animated or just find the details and things. And my dad was always like that. My dad would always tell us stories or say jokes, and I always loved that. And I feel like, we're all pretty artistic. Like I have a sister and a brother, and she loves to paint. They're both attorneys, but like they have an artistic side. I just feel like I just got my whole daddy's like blood. My mom too. My mom is a nurse, but she paints and she writes poems. But it's that whole thing of just being creative. You can find creativity in cooking, and I'm going off on a tangent. But period. You asked me where I'm from. I'm Cuban background, born in Miami, Florida. And proud to be a Latina.
I love it. Hey, well, that about covers it for today. No, I'm teasing.
Okay. Am I answering this is this very long-winded answers?
No, I love it. I'm asking you to talk with me today because you're part of our Latina Conference 2022 and sharing background and empowerment, inspiring stories about your background that quite honestly, if we were doing this conference in person, people, they feed off of that. They want to talk to you right after you finish your presentation. That's how this works. And honestly, you're conveying that. So I really appreciate it. And so with that said,
I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me and talk with me. And it's such a pleasure to know you. You seem like such a cool dude.
Well, I think I am a cool dude.
You seem like one.
Thank you. I'm going to play that part for my wife.
All right. Respectfully.
Respectfully. Hey, so I want to talk a little bit about the acting bug, if you will. How did it get in you? You mentioned your father, but you've got some chops here. I mean, reading through your bio, man, you're tackling Shakespeare. So, I mean, sounds like you're a serious actress.
Yeah, I did. My dad actually gave me my first acting book when I was about, I think, 8 years old. And he was always very disciplined and very focused. And he always told me, listen, you can do whatever it is you want to do in life, but you definitely have to put in the work, and you have to, put in your time, because it's not just showing up. And, that's what separates the basically the boys from the men. And so from a very young age, when I was in elementary school, I played Juliet and Romeo and Juliet's Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I've studied and trained with many people, the university and in the theater program. And then I've also trained privately. And I feel it's important. I feel it's important to really learn and to immerse yourself if you're looking into doing whatever it is you're doing. And that experience, I think it really just, it makes a difference. It sets your work aside from someone who's not as prepared. So I think it's important, and everybody's journey is different, and there is no one story or one recipe for success, because it's like, we got 5 donut shops and everybody has a different recipe, but it's just, what do you bring to the table, and how have you polished that and done to make yourself, as authentic and as watchable as far as acting is concerned as possible. So,
well, I think it's interesting because
I think you're waiting for me to keep going.
I did. I'm going to be honest with you. I was waiting for what is it? Is it coming back? Is it? I am leaving this part in. I guarantee I'm leaving this part in. So, but one of the things that really caught my eye about you was the business. I always admire people that, yes, I have that creative side. There is just this passion about being a performer and about being an entertainer. But at the end of the day, it's about business. So I really am intrigued about your business background as well too. And if you don't mind, how do you balance that where the creativity, and you've had your own business all along, have you not?
Right. So my background is in business, and I feel that it's very important to work on things that you're not as good as, but it's like, double down on your strengths. And so for me, it's been like networking, connecting with people, networking, business. And so is this a lead on to what you were going to ask me you asked me a little while ago, or do you want to just kind of surprise everyone with what you asked?
Let's surprise everybody.
Okay.
I think you're blowing the surprise here. I'm not
blowing anything. You can edit this out. So my background is in business. I've had several different businesses. I've built, I've owned a bakery at one point. Like I said, cooking and baking is a creative outlet as well. I've owned, I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in marketing. I've worked in just different outlets. And so my background is in business. So I really understood the concept when I stepped into acting professionally over 10 years ago. I really looked at the idea of like, all right, this is a creative job. This is a creative work, but there's a big portion of it that's a business. And I think that a lot of people, when they first get into acting, they don't understand that it is a business. Like it's a business like any other. You are the person putting your service out there as far as entertainment and art, but there's a business to run. And so there's always, I feel like there's a disconnect also in that department, which happened also with me at the beginning, because I was kind of like, well, acting, how does this work? Your agent, this, that, the other, but then it's like, all right, understanding and putting that puzzle together. So that was something that was very beneficial to me at the beginning and throughout my career.
But you're in Miami.
I'm in Miami.
Yeah. But you're in Miami, and I think of the entertainment industry is in Hollywood. I mean, did you make a journey to Hollywood to start out that phase, or were you able to maintain a home base in Miami?
So my home base is in Miami, and I'm married. I have 3 kids. And I knew that this was going to be a challenge, or a little bit more of a challenge for me than someone who didn't have children or wasn't married. So I said, all right, what's the plan? How is this going to work? Because you're right. A lot of projects, especially when I first started out, it was, in-person auditions, if you had a callback and whatnot. The beauty of it was that, I also told my agent, I said, listen, I started with a local agent, then I got a regional agent. And then now I'm, LA, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta. I have the agents nationwide as far as like my representation. But at first I told my agents, listen, if you need me to fly out because we got a potential project that's like I'll fly out. And so I've put in my, what is it? I put boots on the ground where I'm like, all right, I'll fly out for a good callback, get on a plane, fly to New York, go to my callback, fly back to the airport. I'm in the airport for a good 6 to 9 hours in that day, fly back home, and I'm home, at night. So it hasn't been easy. It's not a road that's easy, but the beauty of it is that when self-tape has been around for, I would say, a good 5 to 7 years, when it first kind of just got real. And then now it's like the thing. A lot of casting directors or producers, when they want to see someone come in either for a callback or a test or chemistry read or whatnot, it's already, everybody can self-tape. You put up, backdrop, you do self-tape. So I was able to create a studio in my home in Miami, audition, my representation sent me the information. They would send me the breakdowns. They say, all right, this is what you got. I'd work, I'd do my process, get my stuff, my prep, put it on tape, submit it, make sure my deadlines, were where they had to be, and flew out if I had a callback, showed up if I had, a lot of callbacks also are on Zoom. So the beauty of this work, what I found is that working remotely has become the norm. And of course, yeah, there is travel. I just came back from Australia from shooting Young Rock, and I live in Miami. So you're talking about 10,000 miles. So yeah, I did have to be there for a good portion, like 5.5 months. But to book the job, I booked it from my studio in Miami.
Wow. Now you're really giving, not to step on you, but now you're giving me some real inside information. So Young Rock, let's talk about how you connected with Dwayne Johnson, otherwise known as The Rock. And it wasn't the first project you did with them, the production company. Tell me the connection and why it keeps circling back around to you.
It's honestly, I feel like it's kind of kismet. It's full circle moment. I first booked first job I did, project that I did with Dwayne Johnson was Ballers. I was a co-star, played Tanya on Ballers, pharmacist. If you saw it, didn't see it, you can check it out. It's season 2, episode 2 of Ballers. And I worked with him, and he is just amazing. He's such a cool guy, so down to earth, so professional, so much good energy, vibes. Just working with him on set was that energy is just, it's great. It's contagious. So worked great. We, 6 years later, that was in 2015, 6 years later, I actually went in person to audition for Ballers at Lori Wyman Casting. And that was at her office, and I booked it off tape. And then 6 years later, I did the tape here in my studio. And then I booked Young Rock. So working with him, funny story, and I'm not sure if I was able to tell you this, but about 20 years ago, I met Dwayne and Dany at the gym. I was with my brother. It was Porky's gym in the hammocks area, and Dwayne was, this big wrestling star back then. And if you watch Young Rock, you're going to kind of see a little bit of, and my brother sees him and he's like, oh my God. Did you see who came in the gym? It was Dwayne Johnson. I mean, The Rock. He didn't say Dwayne Johnson. He was like, The Rock. And I was like, all right. He's like, come on, you have to go get his autograph. I was like, stop it. I'm like a teenager. I'm not going to go to, man and ask him for his, because I kind of saw wrestling, but I didn't see it as much as my brother. And he's like, please, I'll do anything. I was like, fine. So I went inside and I said, listen, my brother's out there and he wants your autograph. So we went to the front desk and he wrote his autograph on a napkin, and he was with Dany. And I actually told Dwayne the story and he laughed it, and then I told Dany the story, and she says to me, she goes, wow, that's amazing, because you're actually playing me right around the same time you met me. And I was like, oh my, wow, yeah. How full circle is that? Like how, so ever since then, when like I said, background in business, I've always admired Dany's trajectory, her career. She's also of Cuban heritage.
Oh yeah. I mean, I admire her tenacity. She's a pioneer in her own right, in my opinion, and very well respected, and such a force. So for me, it's an honor to play someone as great as her, because she's really and she's so kind and so down to earth as well, and it's just such good vibes. Honestly, I like it's a dream role. It really is. It's a dream role. Well, I've watched on Hulu the first 2 episodes of the second season, and so do you ever get out of the that cubicle office?
Okay, so
that seems to be your go-to shot there.
Well, did you not see the scene in the couch that I was?
I did. I was very impressed. I thought, wait a minute, they're on a couch talking.
On a couch, on a couch.
But and I know it's acting, but I love your portrayal of her in those scenes, and being that calming, reassuring yet strong Latina voice. What do they always say? A man needs the encouragement of a woman, and that's what you are providing in those scenes. So I appreciate it. I took notes.
I feel playing Dany on the show is definitely it's awesome, because it's what you're saying. So throughout his life, when they met, she was the voice of support, the voice of guidance, the voice of encouragement. He has an incredible work ethic. He's always had an incredible work ethic, and I mean, you can see his trajectory and his story. And she has been such a guiding and such a strength in his life, and such a great support as part of the whole team, that's what I feel. Well, you said it came across and you felt it, and it's yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. She's his girlfriend at the time. I mean, you got to see the rest of the show, but
yeah, I'm not gonna,
I don't want to make any spoilers.
No, I mean, it's there, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but and again, knowing further down the line in the storyline, I mean, they become partners, fantastic partners. And I don't know that one gets to do anything without the other, so to speak. So,
she's a powerhouse in her own right. And she has so much, like, I admire her career, and I honestly, like, I'm just like, wow, like, first woman to own a major football league, the XFL, she's partners with him in $7. She's GSTQ, which is her line she just launched. She's part of the Zoa Energy. I mean, everything. She's architected. She is the global strategic advisor for his enterprises. Their enterprises. She is a chairwoman for the whole brand, the whole everything that they've created together. So I feel that it is definitely such a powerful position to be representing someone like that.
Now, I know we've spent a lot of time talking about it, but I really do want to know, as an actor, as an actress, how, at least in my opinion, this has got to be a little funky, strange, portraying somebody that's still alive and actually your boss right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
right. So it's basically, she is an executive producer on the show. And she is, definitely one of the executives. But when I work, or when I would go on set, and you kind of tend to detach yourself from the whole idea of, like, this is the corporate, ladder, this is how it works, and she's my boss, and I'm playing her. No, it's like, you take away everything. Like, let me see the good, let me see the bad, let me see the insecurities, let me see the positive, let me see the negative. What's going on here, so you can authentically tell the story in the most truthful way, and really just be the person, or make the best attempt to tell the story in the best way possible. So I talked to Dany for a good amount of time, and we had our calls. Like, she took my call. I was like, I remember asking one of the producers, like, would love to talk to her, and so she was like, yes, for sure. We talked. I asked her a bunch of questions. We went through all this different, just to get as much information as possible. And I also asked her, because at one point, like, I remember hair and makeup was like, oh, okay, well, what, we're going to paint the nails. This is the 90s. We're going to do like a pink or a red. And I asked her, I remember one of my questions was like, listen, you don't seem like a pink or red. Not that I have anything against pink or red, but it was more like, she goes to me, actually, you know what? I did French manicure a lot. And I did ballet slippers, and it was, a little French manicure with like little square. And I said, you know what? That's actually awesome that you told me that. And I had my manicure done like that. And, I normally wear my nails like this. I'm a little out there with the nails. So, and I knew a lot of my scenes were going to be with the phone. I just gave you a little BTS there, Richard.
Well, I love it. I mean, where else can you get, other than our Latina Conference?
Cubana is like,
no, in fairness to everybody that's watching, can you go ahead and give us yet another close-up of those nails? Because I know my wife is going to ask me. And
this is actually called the geometric French. So over here, you got the fun, colorful side, the fun, colorful scenario. And then over here, we're like, oh, wait, are we corporatizing this? Are we corporatizing this? It's white. And this is colorful. It's called the geometric French. So we got one, the white's a little higher, the colorful's a little lower. This is like the right brain side, the left brain side. This is like.
Hey, Where else can you get?
So I get my nails done at Black House.
Inside information. Are
we? Is this gonna be like some Instagram? So this is Black House. Carolina Ruby does my nails.
You're an actress. You're a mom. You're the family component. You bake. You're creative, and you actually have another job as the vice president in the entertainment industry. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I actually started working with Areu Bros Studios. It's the first major Latin studio in the United States. Major Latin studio, not like Latin studio, like major Latin studio. It's called Areu Bros Studios, and the studio's in Atlanta, based in Atlanta. And I am the vice president of content for the studio. So I actually started working with Ozzy about a couple of years back, and I just really admire what he's doing in the industry as far as empowering and putting the minorities and Latinos in, and expressing their stories and telling their stories. And his vision and what he's doing is in line with what I want to do, because my goal eventually is to create my own show and where I'm in front and behind the camera. And so, as an artist, as an actor, I think it's awesome to work and be in front of the camera and play and have these scenes. But I also think it's important to, in my opinion, to be behind the scenes and understand, okay, how do we produce this? How do we direct this? How do we shoot this? How do we put this together? And that's where like the business background comes into sense. And so for me, it's a challenge and it's an adventure, and I definitely take it on. I mean, it can be stressful at times, but yeah, that's my story. Okay, bye.
Wait a minute. I have a show.
Wait.
For you. I've got a pitch. What's your email?
Oh my God.
How do I get a hold of you? This is my favorite part to ask people as we close out, and that I interview, and especially during our Latina conference, and that is advice that you have received that you feel comfortable sharing with other women, Latinas, heck, even this guy.
I remember, I'm going to put a little bit of Dwayne Johnson into this too. When I was on Set of Ballers, I remember, working with him and asking him, I'm like, if you can give me any advice, what would it be? And he said, any advice. And he's like, I would tell you, work begets work. Work begets work. And at first I was like, all right, work begets work. And then I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, work begets work. And it goes back to like, jump into the class, take the yoga, do the workouts, your day-to-day, how you live your life. It's like, you don't get to a moment where you're like, whatever it is, you're an actor, producer, podcast, whatever it is you do. It's like, you have your patterns, your things that you do on a day-to-day basis that make you the human that you are. And doing that every day will eventually get you into a rhythm of achievement, of success, of living an intentional life. And to women specifically, because I'm kind of going into a little tangent that happens sometimes, I would say own your uniqueness, authenticity over approval. I feel like those who stand out are those that own their uniqueness. And it sounds cliche, but every day I realize it more and more. What makes you quirky, what makes you different, what makes you unique, what actually just makes you weird is what's interesting and fun and different. And own it and keep going. And you're going to have shitty days and you're going to have amazing days, and just ride through it all and enjoy it and be in the present and just do it, man. Like, just keep going, That's my advice in like a little minute.
I love it. Arlyn, I appreciate the time you spent with us this afternoon. And what a great way to finish off the week. So thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Thank you so much.